Good morning, everybody. Mike is out working in his shop on a longbow, so he told me to go ahead and do this intro by myself. And I've got so many people to thank. First of all, I want to thank Tyler and Daniel. Thank you so much for giving me this clip and allowing us to share it with everybody, because I think it's going to be an awesome documentary. And you all might want to get some tissue. I don't think there's going to be a dry eye in the place. And also want to thank Randy M. He did an interview with Tyler back on March 12th on his show, which is Saturday afternoon on 6 Screens of Watchtower, behind closed doors. And I want to apologize. I couldn't get the video and audio to match exactly the same. Even though I recorded it, I had to get rid of my audio because for some reason Rick Farron was stapling and it just messed up my audio. So I had to grab their audio to go with the video. So I want to thank you everybody so much, and a very warm special thanks to Jim and Janet Mura, their family, because without them, there wouldn't be a documentary, there wouldn't be, videos, and, they've become very dear friends. All of these people actually have become very dear friends, and, we want to help them as much as we can. So we hope you all enjoy the video, and you all have a wonderful weekend, and happy Easter.
I'm Jay.
This is a video about a beautiful family and their struggle to get the most out of life despite the difficult challenges this world has presented them with. Jim and Janet Mura got married in 1975 while they were living in Woodridge, New Jersey. Jim was the high school English teacher in Ramsey, and Janet was a librarian working at the Newark Public Library. They were introduced through a mutual friend, and after a few short months of dating, they decided to tie the knot. They have been married now for almost 41 years and have set an unprecedented model for marriage to their only daughter, Kate, who was born in 1979. Then, in 1988, when Kate was just 9 years old, tragedy struck. It happened while doing what the family loved most, and that was spending time together down at the beach, swimming off the New Jersey coastline. I had a chance to sit down with Kate and learn about the day that changed their family's life forever.
And we were both in the ocean together. He was body surfing, and I was just playing in the waves and swimming a little bit. And the sea was really calm that day, so there were not very many waves to catch, ironically. And the last wave he took, he rode in and he got up and he almost started to go out to catch another one, but then he started complaining that he had a headache, and so started walking out of the ocean towards the blanket, and had, I don't know, taken maybe 4 or 5 steps past the shoreline before he collapsed. And at that point I was still in the ocean, but my mom saw it. She was off in the distance, and she ran down to him, and I don't know that you really want me to go into the graphic and bloody details of the rest of it, so I'll pause there.
And it was at that moment Jim started experiencing hematemesis, which is vomiting of blood. The commotion caught the attention of 2 other beachgoers who happened to be part of the New Jersey Emergency Medical Response Team and immediately started to assess the situation, as Janet explains.
The 2 EMS workers had theorized that it was some kind of brain trauma, and there was only one hospital that specialized in brain trauma. So he was already targeted to go to that one by the time the ambulance got there, so there was no time wasted. And that was the Jersey Shore Medical Center. And we were lucky that the 2 gentlemen were there, and then we were lucky that when we got to the hospital, one of the best neurosurgeons on the East Coast was on call that night. And he had not left the hospital yet, and so they rushed Jim right through the emergency room into the operating room.
And it was because of that neurosurgeon's years of experience that he was able to quickly recognize that Jim was suffering from an acute subdural hematoma and was immediately prepped for an emergency craniotomy. In this procedure, the surgeon removes a part of the skull and uses suction and irrigation to remove the hematoma. About 50 to 90% of people who develop acute subdural hematomas die from this condition or its complications. By the grace of God and the quick thinking of the medical team, Jim's life was saved. For the next 2 months, Jim would stay in the ICU, recovering at the Jersey Shore Medical Center until he was stable enough to be transferred to the Robert Wood Johnson Rehabilitation Center in New Brunswick, New Jersey. There, he would continue his recovery for the next 11 months. After that, Jim was able to come home for a few short months before having to leave again to the new Medco Rehab Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. There, he would spend the next year working with physical therapists trying to regain daily basic functions. Janet would make the 98-mile journey every weekend without missing a single one until Jim was finally able to come home for good. Jim was finally able to come home and rejoin his family, and even though his injuries left him permanently in a wheelchair, he didn't let that keep him from striving to be the most amazing father that Kate could ask for. He taught her to be a kind and loving person and also to have high morals and standards for herself. He was always there for her, never missing one special occasion or a single graduation while growing up. Once Kate had left off for college, Jim and Janet decided it was time for them to start planning where they would like to build their retirement home. So in 2010, while on vacation in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, they fell in love with a special piece of property because of its breathtaking view of the Sandia Mountains. Janet designed their home in such a way that the couple would be able to enjoy the magnificent scenery that the Sandias are famous for. Every morning the sun rises directly over the mountains, and every evening the sun illuminates them in a brilliant bright red color that earned them the nickname Sandia, which means watermelon. The Sandia Mountains also serve as a beautiful backdrop for the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta that comes to town once a year in October. So she decided to build a special window in their dining room so Jim could enjoy these amazing views while they ate together. Then just as they started to settle into their new home and enjoy those priceless views it had to offer, tragedy struck again, but this time in the form of the most unlikely neighbors. Before Jim and Janet ever committed to buying the lot to begin with, they wanted to find out who owned the property in front of the one that they were looking at and how it was going to be developed, just so they could make sure that indeed this would be the perfect spot to place their dream home. Well, come to find out, it was owned by the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, otherwise known as Jehovah Witness. So Janet arranged for a meeting to take place between her and the elders of the church so they could have a chance to discuss each other's future plans in developing their lots. The Jehovah Witness assured her that they had more than enough property to build their church in a way that they both would be able to enjoy the view. So with a handshake and a promise from the witnesses, Jim and Janet decided to go ahead and purchase the land and build their retirement home. In August 2011, construction on their eco-friendly retirement home was finally complete. It had straw bale insulated walls, electric solar paneling, water harvesting rain gutters, and was built to ADA specifications so Jim would be able to navigate around the house with ease. And let's not forget about that special panoramic window that they had designed for the dining room. Then, in 2014, after only 2 years of enjoying an unobstructed view of the Sandia Mountains, this happened.
Can't move, he can't talk. But what he does have is a view of the mountains that gives him a lot of enjoyment. But now a church is going up next door and it will block his view, breaking a promise the family says the church made. News 13's Tina Jensen has the story.
So many things Jim can't do anymore that he used to do. And this seems like such a small thing.
Life changed for high school English teacher Jim Mura after a freak swimming accident in the ocean left him with a traumatic brain injury. For years, the couple made plans for a home in Rio Rancho they could spend the rest of their lives in. Wheelchair accessible, and for Jim, a view of the Sandias.
Was that a big reason that you liked this property? Yeah, it's a good view.
When they learned a Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall would be built next door, they say they had a handshake agreement. The church wouldn't block Jim's window to the outside world. But when concrete was finally poured a few weeks ago, it was a different story. The building would be centered in front of the window.
They just have so much land there and so many other placement options that I find it completely difficult to believe that they couldn't have figured out a configuration to give them the parking spaces and whatever square footage of their building.
We reached out to an elder with the church who's also in charge of the construction. He didn't want to talk to us. The family says they've only been given one reason for the change of plans.
If they moved the building, they would lose 3 parking spots.
The family went to City Hall, who told them the same thing that they told us, that unless the builders are breaking codes, there's not much they can do.
With foundation already poured, the family still hopes the Jehovah's Witnesses will have a change of heart.
It's a quality of life issue.
Tina Jensen, KRQE News 13.
The family says they requested blueprints from the Jehovah's Witness Church and from the city, but neither would release them. We asked the city of Rio Rancho why the blueprints, which are public documents, weren't released. They said they would have to investigate that
I have no problem with the sound, but anyways, we're just going down to Oklahoma right now. We're going to be talking to Randy with his program Watchtower Behind Closed Doors. Are you there with us, Randy?
Yes, I am. How's my volume?
Well, the volume is very good. Thank you, Randy. We can hear you really good job. Thank you for coming on. My goodness, you've been a busy man. You've been covering a lot of ground lately. Boy, so you can take a few extra minutes tonight. Take us, more time if you need it. Don't you worry, okay?
Okay, sure. Thanks. I want to first say how much I'm appreciative to knowing Mike and Kim, because they're the ones that saw the story about Jim and Janet and what the Rio Rancho congregation did. They saw it on their local news. They made a couple of YouTube videos about it. We even went up there and interviewed them. And if it wasn't for them, I would never got to really meet such a wonderful couple. And actually, I also want to thank Janet, because she did a great job. And even after I ran out on her, because we had an appointment 2 weeks ago, to go out and eat with Mike and Kim and their kids, because their kids only had a certain window of time. And Janet just took over like a trooper, answered everyone's questions. I played it back on the clouds. I'm so glad you have it up there, Rick, on the clouds, so that if we have to step out, we can come back and listen to what was said. And I learned a lot from Janet after I left. I mean, listening to it in the clouds. And what we wanted to, I'm hoping that Tyler is going to be coming on tonight. He's the one that everyone knows is making this documentary. He's been there a couple of times, and the last time there was some sort of altercation. And I don't know if he's going to be able to make it tonight. He mentioned something about going on having to finish his documentary, but then it looked like the weather was kind of washing that out. So, you know, if we do miss him, we're going to have to be recognizing it's a sacrifice that's going to be worth it, because he privileged me to get to see a few minutes of it, and it's nothing like I imagined it was going to be. He put that TV station to shame. I mean, he could be in a career doing this. That's how good it is. It's not about just the Jehovah's Witnesses, what they did. It's a lot about the whole story behind, you know, Jim and Janet and why they picked that place. So, are you there, Tyler? Are you with me? If you are, press, what is it, *1 or 1 star? I forget.
*1, Randy, yep.
*1. If you can press *1 and come on, Tyler.
Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
is that you, Tyler?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been listening here now for the last 10 minutes or so. So I didn't know how to buzz in there. I just thought I was on a conference call the whole time, I guess. So
yeah,
I appreciate you guys inviting me on tonight. I'm really excited to be with you all this evening. This will be the first time I've been on such a show, and I'm excited. I'm really excited. The people need to know what the Rio Rancho Kingdom Hall has done to Jim and Janet Mura. You know, it couldn't have happened to a more sweeter couple. You know. So.
I feel the same way, and it's a privilege for us to have you here. I mean, you shared with me, and I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it somewhat secret. I let my family, I hope that's okay, look at it. I told everybody, hey, go invest in some Kleenex stock, because I mean, this is going to really, a lot of people is going to have to use Kleenexes if they're watching. This is a fantastic job. But before we start the interview, you're in front of a computer there.
No, Randy, I'm just on my cell phone in the car. You know, I've got 2 little boys inside, and they're like 2 little Tasmanian devils in there. I wouldn't be able to get a sentence in if I walked back inside. So I'm out here in the car in the garage.
Okay, but we got some technical problems here, Rick. I don't know if you've seen that. There's several.
Oh, we got to clear it up right now. We're back to sound. Sound is back on. Yep.
Okay, well,
in fact, what we want to do, Randy, just hold on 1 second. We've got some. What are you on there for headphones? What's going on? What are you speaking into?
My phone only works on speaker. Is that what's causing the problem?
No, Tyler's phone is good. I think his speaker might be having a little problem with it, but turn it down a little bit if you can, Tyler.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll turn the volume down on the phone. For some reason, the earpiece went out, and the only way I can have a conversation is if I put it on speaker, and everybody in the world gets to listen in on what I'm saying, you know.
All right, well, we're glad you came on. It sounds, we got a little echo, but that's okay. I won't be talking. Randy, go ahead, count to 5 for me, Randy.
Yeah, let me try my headset on, see if that cuts it out. That helping any?
There's a little echo, but the speaker, the only way that Tyler can do it is go on a speakerphone. You can't just speak regular phone, Tyler, huh?
I can call back using my wife's phone, if that would work.
Yeah, let's try that. We want to get it nice and clear, because we got some echoing going on in here.
Right.
Or can you turn off just the speaker and just talk into the handset?
No, it doesn't work that way. I've got the volume turned all the way down. I can barely hear you guys. You know what? I'm going to call right back. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll be right here. And Rick, in the meantime, can I shoot you over a picture of him? Unless you've got one. He's the one wearing the blue sleeves. Have you got any of that we could put a picture so everybody will have a face with him?
Yeah. In fact, Randy, I think we're getting some problems from your phone as well.
Okay, let me try calling back.
Okay.
Okay, I'll call right back. Right, and then it's going to be recorded, so for people to listen from now on, you know, it'd be great to have good quality.
That's right. So now I believe also we've got Jay. Jay, you coming in, are you? Jay?
Tyler.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm looking at Jim. Okay, Tyler from, I guess he's from Arizona, is that right?
New Mexico. New
Mexico, okay.
Suburb there in Rio Rancho. Suburb.
Yeah, because we get some people coming from Arizona, California, all over there, so all over the Southwest. So he'll be coming here shortly. So we'll wait for. So why don't you bring the audience up to speed on what Tyler's going to be talking about, Randy?
Well, I hope he tells us, why, how he learned of the story. I've heard just pieces of it, but he can tell us how he learned about. I was surprised how he learned, and then what all he's done so far, and then of course what down to the very end, there was an altercation like a week ago where the elders actually manhandled, come out and I think he can straighten up some clarification because there was some.
Is that better?
Yeah, are you there, Tyler?
Yeah, there you go, Tyler. That sounds good. Tyler, count to 5 for me.
All right, there. How does that sound, guys?
That sounds better, Tyler. You're ready to roll. You and Randy, go ahead at it. There you go, Randy.
You want to count to 5 there and see how it sounds, Tyler? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sure. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2.
You got it. We got it. He's good. We're good to go. You got a cake off here. Let's do it.
Okay, great. Well, I was just telling everyone, Tyler, how I've been blessed by. I mean, I haven't even got to meet you face to face yet, just over the phone, and I hope someday to get back and be able to shake your hand, give you a hug, because I appreciate so much what you've done, and I feel privileged that you shared with me the documentary that you've made, and I hope it gets out there real soon so everyone can see it and learn more details. But I think what I wanted to do is, if it's okay with you, is to maybe start off by explaining how you learned about the Jehovah's Witnesses there to start with there in your area.
Sure. I probably found out about them by, like most people, I guess, and that was them showing up at my door unannounced, on a Saturday morning. And I'm a nice guy. I'm not going to turn away anybody that's coming to my door wanting to proclaim the gospel, so to speak, or, want to have a conversation about our Lord and Savior, So I was very kind. I invited them in. I'd put on a pot of tea, made them real comfortable, got some chips and salsa, it's a staple here in New Mexico, and, really enjoyed our visit. They came back again. They came back like the next weekend, and we were studying out of the little pamphlet, the little watchtower thing that they were bringing every week. And,
let me interrupt you just a minute. So you were thinking that they might have the truth, or you might be onto something with them, and that you might be considering even joining the witnesses.
Everybody kind of knows that they're different. You know what I mean?
Right.
That the gospel that they're bringing to your door isn't the same gospel that the Apostle Paul is speaking in the book of Corinthians. As a matter of fact, he says quite frankly, if anybody else is coming to you with a different gospel than the one that I'm preaching, it's false. And so I always knew that. That was always in the back of my head. But my thinking was, like, if I just, let Christ live through me, and they would see Christ living through me, the kindness and the gentleness and the love. My little kids were coming up while they were there, and they were reciting their weekly Bible verses to them, and they were just blown away. They were just amazed on how scripturally sound we were and how knowledgeable we were on the Bible. They would make comments, because when we would turn to a passage, I'd always be the first one there, and they'd always be catching on. They made a comment to me that, boy, it sure is nice to finally have a Bible study with somebody that knows where the books of the Bible are and stuff. And so I picked up on that, because I always thought that they were the ones that knew everything. So I was really intimidated the first couple studies I did with them, that, they were the ones that were going to educate and school me. But then by the second meeting, it became very clear that their knowledge was very limited. It was a very, watered down, spoon fed, first grade level kind of stuff.
It's more that way than it was a few years back. They've changed. I mean, they used to get really, really deep. To tell you how scary that is, my mom went to Tyler, went with the intention, when I was just a little bitty kid, 6 years old, of proving them wrong. Well, instead of proving them wrong, she got sucked into them, absorbed by the Borg, they call it.
Right.
You know,
right.
and so, but anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just curious, you know,
Right.
so why
So what happened then, they wanted to go ahead and go to the next step, bring in their elder. And yeah, I guess I was just like your friend, thinking, the more that they visited with me and heard some of the comments that I would make and the things that I would say, maybe a light would go off or something would happen. And, my family warned me, and they told me, no, you're not going to change their mind. You know what I mean? I guess we have a Jehovah Witness in our family, and there's just no changing their mind. I mean, it's just, and so all the people that are listening, like you yourself, friend, I mean, consider yourself very lucky, I guess, because I don't know how they get their members to just completely, literally, like, hide under a rock from everything, like be inside a building with no windows so we don't know what's going on around us. The Lord says, not to be conformed to this world, but he also says, to render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. We live in this world, but, and so that was kind of my goal going in. My goal was to, they would invite me to their church eventually, and I knew this. And so when they invited me, when they extended the invitation to me, I'd be like, sure, no problem, but I accept the same courtesy. If I go to church with you one Sunday, I'm going to expect you to go with me, on a Saturday or Sunday,
How did that work out?
So, I never got that far. So what ended up happening is I ended up going to the Kingdom Hall a couple times with them, and I ended up going once, and then we came over and did another Bible study, and then that time I knew I planned on putting a little bit more pressure. I was going to try to move away from the routine little pamphlet study that they've got, like, memorized to a T, and I wanted to, I kept telling her, I said, look, I know you guys know a lot about the Bible. I know the Jehovah Witnesses are like experts on the Revelations and like the end of the world. I said, that's what I really want to know. I said, I know a lot about the Bible. I said, but I really don't know too much about the book of Revelation, and it just, like, she would just avoid it at all costs. She had to stay to the outlined procedure on going through what they teach what they've been taught in the school of what's that school of ministry called? Theocratic school, the theocratic school. And once I started pressing to move away from that and, like, let's dive into the book of Revelation, and study the book of Revelation, then they started getting real funny, like, oh, we see that this isn't going to work out, this isn't going to work, I guess, like, they broke up with me. They give you that.
Really? And you didn't know anything.
It's not you, it's me kind of a talk, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so I'd sent, I'd gotten their numbers, from previous times. I'd been friends with them, started earning that trust. And so I sent her a text after that day, kind of got into it. It got kind of heated, right there in my living room. And so later on I sent her a text. I said, if I walked into your church tonight and Jesus was with me, would you let me sit by you? And never got, she never responded. So I got all, ready and everything else, and I headed up over there to the Mountain View congregation over there, and I was surprised. I really thought I was going to get, like, marked, so to speak, like this is the outsider guy, and to my surprise, I got the complete opposite. I think she was just as shocked that I actually showed up. And so it threw her off, like, well, I've got to be nice. And so she was, so I got all the typical love bombing, got to meet every single person and welcome and this and that. And the thing that she didn't know, what I had stumbled across between the last time I saw her and this time was the video that Mike and Kim had posted about the Kingdom Hall here in Rio Rancho. And so I was left unsatisfied by the news report. I had no answers, so to speak. They went in there and reported it, but then I was still left scratching my head at the end of the news report there. And so I was already kind of on in, with them, and the news report couldn't get any answers from them. They couldn't get anybody to talk to them. And so I already had one up on them because they were already talking to me. You know, I told them I was really interested in becoming a Jehovah Witness because I'm all about telling people about the guy who died for my sins, you know. And if you're going door to door telling people about the Lord, I want to go to door telling people about Jesus. And, you know, if it takes, and if you guys are the people that do that, I want to do it, you know. And so I talked them into like wanting to make like a little YouTube video, you know, to kind of show everybody that they're not as bad as all these other videos that are just bashing and hating and just saying how evil they are. You know, I was going to come in and be like, see, these people are nice and kind and they're telling people about Jesus. But really what I was doing was just getting in kind of deeper with them, kind of going undercover, so to speak, just so I can get the documentary that I had this vision for. You know, I wanted the world to see an intimate look into the mirror of life. You know, it was the intimate look. It was what the Jehovah Witnesses neglected to do. You know, they neglected to get to know their neighbor. And I guarantee you, if they would have only taken the time that I've taken to get to know Jim and Janet Mira, they would be absolutely ashamed of themselves once they have found out what sweet. I mean, there's no love greater than our Lord's, of course. But if you want to see true love in action, go and talk to Jim and Janet Mira. You will see a level of love that I guarantee you have seen in no other relationship. And that's what we're trying to capture with this video, just to show the Jehovah Witnesses how bad they messed up. You know, they're saying they're the ones that have the love and they're so kind and everything. No, you haven't seen love firsthand in real life until you've stepped into that doorstep at the Mira's family's house. Then you'll know what love is all about. And if the elders only weren't so blind to notice love outside of their windowless wall, that they think that you know, God is so small, I guess, that he lives only within those four walls, you know, not acknowledging the fact that he's so great. You know, he's the creator of the universe. You know, there must be a real small God they serve if they really believe that the creator of the universe is only contained within the four walls of this particular denomination. You know,
yeah, and
they had every opportunity to see love in love in its truest form. You know, of course, besides, you know, only seconds to our Lord's, of course.
Yeah,
and they completely just wanted to stay blind to it.
You brought something out to me earlier when we were on the phone about how they probably view, I forget the words you used, but Jim and Janet as what did you say? They probably view them as just refuse, or?
Well, they just as worldly people, not
people.
worthy. Yeah, just worldly people, not worthy to even take the time to give a glass of water to, so to speak.
Exactly.
You know?
And you remember what I said? I said, see, to the Jehovah's Witnesses they're thinking, well, that's just a couple that's worldly, that's going to
right.
They're going to the birds, you know, the what are those birds that eat?
They don't deserve this view.
Armageddon. They think they're just going to be destroyed anyway, so they don't care about them.
Right. You know, they thought the view was going to waste by them having it. You know, that's exactly what mentality they probably had. You know, that they weren't worthy enough to enjoy that view. You know, we were going to build our church here. That God put that mountain there for us because we're His only true channel of communication, and He's going to bring a lot of people to Himself because of this particular location and everything else. You know, no, they're right in a sense that yes, that the Lord is going to bring a lot of people to Him because of that particular location. But I guarantee you, it's not going to be through becoming a Jehovah Witness.
Yes.
You know, but God doesn't let anything go to waste. Nothing. And it's starting to show now in this particular situation how the Lord is using such tragedy, you know, and turning it around for good. You know, that's what our Savior is good at. You know, taking broken people and taking horrible situations and having them glorify Him, and you know, glorifying Himself through these horrific acts that we see in the world. That's exactly what this is. This is just a worldly, horrific act that they did, but they're too ignorant to remove the plank in their own eye, you know, and so they're too busy telling everybody else about the splinters in their eye. You know, one thing when I was sitting down studying with the Jehovah Witnesses, Randy, I even made the comment to the lady. I said, wow, you know, I'm not really learning anything about your guys' religion. I said, I'm learning everything that's wrong with everybody else's religion. I said, I even got on your website, and I said, I was trying to find out what you guys believed, and I ended up finding out what was wrong with everybody else's religion. And that's, you know, and that's what they're doing. They're too busy going around telling everybody else that they're wrong, when they're, you know, why they got the big old plank sticking out of their own eye.
Right, right. And you know, the thing, I think how they did it, I've seen you in one of your videos, you said it's obvious you people put this on purpose. When I look at the aerial pictures, you placed it on purpose there. Well, what I found out, it looked like they were just smacking in the face even more, is one of their videos they put on their JWTV broadcast was of that Kingdom Hall and of that beautiful view. It's kind of like, oh, let's see, y'all ain't going to do anything to us. We'll do what we want to. I mean, it was just, to me, a slap.
The whole thing could have been avoided to begin with, Randy. Their plans from the very get-go when they bought that piece of property, from the very, you can't convince me otherwise, that their plans from the very get-go was to build that building exactly where it is. As a matter of fact, it was supposed to be a little more towards the road, which would have even, you know, blocked the front of the house, you know. And so this whole thing could have been avoided if they would have just been honest with them in the beginning. You see, Jim and Janet weren't committed. They were still shopping for property. You know what I mean?
Well,
they found that one had a nice view, and if the Ellers would have told them our building's going to be right here, Jim and Janet would have gone on to the next lot. But that's not what happened.
Yeah, they even had room on their property too. They could have, you know, if they told Jim and Janet that, they could have possibly said, "Well, we'll put our home back here then." You know,
exactly.
And theirs went way back. Jim and Janet's property goes way, way back.
Right. He owns right there to that. Towards the edge of the property, you know, where the end of the Kingdom Hall wall goes to the south.
Right.
Jim owns all that land right behind there. And at one point, what we were wanting to do, you know, this is around the time the Royal Commissions were going on, and people were.
Yeah, tell us about, because I've heard other people mention about doing something like that, but they didn't know what Jim told you. So share what Jim said.
I had seen it. I had seen something similar for the very first time in my hometown, up where I grew up in Farmington, New Mexico. One of the churches had bought some advertising on a billboard that was that shared the property line to a smut shop. And I showed Mike and Kim the pictures, and I said, "This is what we got to do." You know, they bought advertising for the site or for the sign. And they plastered a big old "Jesus is watching you," you know, right at this big billboard. And you know, in order to go into this little pawn shop, you have to drive like right underneath the sign, you know. And I thought that would be when I heard what's going on in the Royal Commissions and started seeing these billboards popping up along the highway. And I'm talking, you know, the big time billboards, you know, like Holiday Inn billboard type things, you know. And they were pointing out, you know, is there a child molester in your Kingdom Hall?
Yeah.
Would you know it? You know, and so I told Mike, I said, let's build one of these. I said, Jim's got the land right behind it. I said, he could lease me a little piece of property. I said, we'll build the sign and I'll sell advertising for, you know, ex-Jehovah Witnesses, I guess, and we can just have new slogans on this thing all the time, you know, and the sign would be right where the building should have went to begin with. You know, that's what really upsets me, is that, you know, it was just more salt to the wound because they went and put a little shed there, a little storage shed. You know, in the video that's getting ready to come out, I utilized those Google Earth shots, and that's what really infuriated me. Yeah. You know, when I first saw, you know, like they had the right to, you know, it's their land, they can do whatever they want with it. You know what I mean? But then it wasn't until I actually saw the overhead footage till it all just dawned on me. This was done on purpose. Oh, absolute purpose. And that's what gets me. That's
me too. You know, and the thing too, here's several's asking on the chat screen bar here if I'll ask you some questions, and Rick's queued up actually the video. He's not playing the whole thing that Mike and Kim did, just right. the part where you were there, where you and Daniel were there. By the way, were you able to get a hold of Daniel? Has he got an interest maybe in talking?
He is at, I told you he has 4 little girls.
Right,
so he's got his hand, but he is at a birthday party. One of his little girls got invited to a birthday party, and so he was bummed out. I did talk to him. I did text him, and he was all excited. He's like, man, that sounds really cool. He says, but I'm at this birthday party, and then he sent me a little emoji of a crying face. So
would you tell him he doesn't need to miss a birthday party. Believe me, Jehovah's Witnesses understand that completely.
You poor guys, I feel so sorry. I was laughing, when I was, I came on a little bit early, about 10 minutes early, so I was listening to the previous show wrapping up. And I kind of chuckled to myself, and I said, man, I hear all these people, they're here for, it's a support group, ex-Jehovah Witnesses, maybe current Jehovah Witnesses listening in and stuff. And I was like, man, I've heard of an AA meeting before, but I've never heard of a JA meeting before. This is my first JA meeting I've ever been to.
Well, no, that makes sense. Hey, Randy and Tyler, Rick Farron here at the Six Screens control panel right outside of Boston, Massachusetts. But, let me bring people up to speed here so they really get it. Some people don't follow Facebook. We get a lot of people coming in right now. We got a number of countries, Sweden, Canada, Poland, Mexico, pretty much Australia, pretty much from all over the world. So, sometimes people aren't really up to speed, but let me just give our listening audience an idea here what is going on. We have Tyler on here on Randy's program, Watchtower Behind Closed Doors. Tyler was involved in a little bit of an altercation, you could say, with the elders in the New Mexico Rio Rancho congregation out there at Kingdom Hall in New Mexico. It happened within the last week. It's been documented. It's on video film. We have some here to show you here very shortly. That's what you're looking at right now in the video suite. You can see the Kingdom Hall there in Rio Rancho. But the reason why this is of any interest at all is that Kingdom Hall that you're looking at on the video suite, that Kingdom Hall was built right in front of a window from a paraplegic man. He's not a Jehovah's Witness, but him and his wife, they were on a couple of weeks ago here on the Six Screens, and they were actually saying the Jehovah's Witnesses did them a misdeed. The Jehovah's Witnesses built a Kingdom Hall right in view of the mountain range that the man could see. I believe his name was Jim. And what they did is they put that Kingdom Hall right in front of the window so we cannot see the mountain range anymore. So it really caused quite a problem. I mean, there's plenty of land to build that Kingdom Hall on, but they had to do it right there. And the witnesses even said that they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't put it in front of Jim's window. But anyways, I'm going to show you some pictures. I'm going to play the video. We have Tyler. He was in the video. He was right there when this all happened. Some elders came out of the Kingdom Hall and made a big shadoo about the whole thing. One elder actually even holding on to one of the cameramen, actually assaulting him. He was quietly going about his business, filming a documentary on the witnesses, when all of a sudden elders came out. I want you to see it. I thought it was quite amazing that these elders would behave in the way that they...
It says, take my yoke.
Well, what you're listening to is the talk of an elder, Jehovah's Witness elder, trying to show how much love they show. They're doing this for reasons to show the witnesses don't preach what they practice.
Well, he's done just that. If you turn to Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 8 in your Bibles, we see a gift he's given to all the...
That elder's in the background, just for effects here, to show you the witnesses do not preach what they really believe in. Here's a couple of elders coming out of the hall right now. They're going to accost the film crew.
Now, in Ephesians 4, verse 12...
And notice how far they're having to walk down to them. I mean, it looked to me, Tyler, you were clear to the end, practically to the gate, probably.
Training of the holy ones for ministerial work to build up the body of the Christ. Yeah. So they were readjusting, they would be
There you go. That's him manhandling Daniel at that point. He grabbed the mic, and that's him roughing up Daniel.
Get your hands off the equipment. You cannot touch any of this equipment.
He was caught red-handed. You see the look of guilt on his face when the camera was spent.
Right.
Hand around.
I guess he must have not thought the other camera was playing. You know, because when I was talking to. We had two different camera angles. And I was facing toward Daniel, and he just went straight for the sound equipment, grabbed Daniel's camera. Daniel's trying to hold his trying to get his tripod and hold on to the camera. You know, this is one of those real fancy, it's probably a $3,000 Canon. You know, it takes this amazing picture. And so I pick up my camera that's on the tripod, and as soon as I point it in that direction, he looks up at me and sees that busted. And he immediately lets go and just kind of, reaches into his pocket and says he's calling 911. If anything, we were expecting that they were going to come over and talk to us and ask us to leave the property, which, ultimately they did, but I didn't think they were going to do it physically. We didn't, at any time did we ever, resist and say, no, we're not leaving. I did say, this is public property. He's like, you got to leave. And I'm like, why? This is public property. But even then, we're moving towards the gate. We're moving towards the sidewalk. Once all that little roughing up happened, Daniel, it scared the crap out of Daniel. He wanted to get the heck out of there, poor guy.
Exactly.
So we're starting to move towards the sidewalk, and I'm questioning the other guy who's telling me it's private property. And when I'm wrong, I'm going to admit that I'm wrong. I honestly thought churches were open to the public. As a matter of fact, that very same morning, when I opened the front door to my house, a little pamphlet fell to the floor, opened it up, and I'll be doggone if it was an invitation to that very same church.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, it is open. It is invited to the public, but how they get around that is if they don't like you, they'll say, we rescind that. And they'll say, here's the thing, and even in the states that allow the most aggressive states that allow persons to use force, the only time they can actually use force legally is if they feel threatened, like they're going to be hurt or killed.
Right.
And
what are
you going to do with the camera? Yeah, how are you hurting them with the camera at 150 feet away? There's no way that they had any right to do force to you. That leads me up to this question here, and of course, you and Daniel, you may have your own decisions as to what you will do. I know Janet, after we talked 2 weeks ago, she mentioned how she would not probably pursue the courts because she's 68 years old and courts take years and years and years, and she's got her hands full. She's got a lot on her plate, taking care of her and Jim and preparing food and medication and everything else. So, it's the same way with you and Daniel. I mean, you guys have your lives, and if you decide not to, but people's asking in the chat room here, would you please ask Tyler if they are going to press charges?
I'm going to tell you no, and I'm going to be right up, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. We waited around, and I have some extended footage of that. Daniel was begging me to leave, please leave, and I made him stay. I got kind of mad at him. No, I said, we came to film this. This is good stuff, and I knew the police were on their way. We were already off the property. We were on the sidewalk, so I knew we weren't. As long as we weren't caught on the property when the police got there, I knew we were okay. We weren't going to go to jail or nothing was going to happen. And so I said, no, I want to film this, and just to show, this is the kind of people that we're dealing with here. And so I was talking with the officer, and he explained it to me. He goes, it was provoked. In other words, I knew that me going onto that property was going to cause some sort of reaction. I would have never dreamed in a million years that it would have been physical immediately. It would have turned into a physical altercation.
I want to interrupt you there and tell you did not provoke. What you did was not provoking. Now, whether that police officer just was lazy and didn't want to do his job and have a form, or whether he may be married to a Jehovah's Witness. His wife may attend the meeting there. She may be a pioneer. I don't know,
They were siding with us, but by the time after we had explained to them what our cause was, they explained to us that's very noble. We can see you guys are very passionate about what you're doing. We respect that.
Well, I can tell
just to let you know that if you do come back and step onto that property, that you can be arrested. But this is an official notice now that you are unwelcome at this property. So that brings me to say this. All right, so Tim, he's the lead elder, I guess, whatever you guys call it, Kobe. I mean, I guess to an outsider like me, that'd be considered like a head pastor or something, I guess.
Right.
So Tim made the decision to permanently kick me out. I'm unwelcome now at any Kingdom Hall, I guess. I needed research that. It may just be that particular one. I don't know. But let's just say, since this has happened, I'm unwelcome at any Kingdom Hall. So Tim has ultimately made the decision on my eternity, so to speak. So if that was the only place to find salvation and escape Armageddon, he was my judge, saying that, nope, I've got to face, even if I repent and say sorry, I'm not allowed on that property anymore. So how am I going to find favor with God now when he comes back, since I'm not allowed?
No, well, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about you, but guess what? He doesn't care about the members there either. That's what we found out. We thought that the elders in positions like that cared about us, and then we find out that no, they don't care about us. It's all about power to a lot of them. But here's the thing: is he's considered an agent of Watchtower. So whatever, and I've got a Watchtower attorney saying this. I've got a secret tape recording. I posted. It's on my YouTube channel. They said if this elder, whatever they do to you, it's the same as the Watchtower Corporation doing it. It's the same as every Jehovah's Witness doing it. So then we've got to somehow figure out how to compensate you. So you have a good claim for I mean, they've assault and battery. I found out too, Kim did some great work. Her and Mike, they found the statutes in New Mexico, and I got educated because I didn't know. I thought assault means you come up and start hitting somebody. Assault doesn't mean necessarily even touching you. You can just a threat. So coming up and threatening, that's the assault. And then the battery, that's called the battery when they actually lay their hands on. I don't know if you saw it or not, but they put up a meme that I made later. It said Apostle Paul didn't mean this was laying on of hands, and I got a picture of Elder Tim holding on to Daniel, wrestling Daniel. So
if you listen to the voice overlay that we put on that video, you'll hear the second elder saying, now let's talk about provoked situations. And then he goes into saying, you got to think about how it's going to affect the people that are watching you. So I think just the fact that the world is going to be able to see what happened is going to speak louder than any lawsuit that we would ever be able to win in court. Just the fact that, see here,
the thing about winning it in court, though, you can not only would the world be seeing it then too, but you could also get a judgment that you could say, well, I'm going to donate this over to Jim and over to Janet. Matter of fact, they've just now put up the address, and that brings me to if you don't mind, we'll hop off that subject of court litigation a little bit and talk a little bit about anybody that wants to send and help with the loss that this family's had, because I've had a lot of people, not only in the video suite, ask me this, but on my Facebook page, they said, I would really like to help. And some of them say, I can't help much. I can only send $20, but I'd like to do this. And so we have no vehicle to do that. So I actually, 2 weeks ago, those that were listening in heard me ask Janet if we could do that, and she asked Jim, and he gave the little signs with his hand that he wasn't sure about it. So I said, well, we'll let you guys talk it over. Well, I called her yesterday and told her, I said, there's people asking me this, and she just was hesitant. She says, that's not why I went on here. I didn't go on. I'm not going on asking for money. And I basically had to plead with her. I said, Janet, that you're a Bible reader. You know what it says about more happiness in giving than in receiving. And I said, there's people here that they're like me, and they're like Tyler. There's like Mike and Kim. There's so many that are so furious, and why we're furious is it just seems like there's nothing we can do to remedy this situation, to fix it. So if we could do something to even if it's a little small thing, is if you don't allow it, Janet, you're actually depriving people of their happiness. and then she agreed to let us put her address up. So I put her address up there. I've got it on Facebook. I'll post it here in the video suite so everyone can have it, copy it, and paste it if they want to. But even if it's small amounts, like I've heard said many times, well, the ocean is even made up of just little drops of water, And now he's showing, Rick is scanning through the different photographs. There's the picture looking out that dining room table. I got privileged to sit there and eat lunch with Jim and Janet and Mike and Kim and my girls and my wife. And that we didn't have that view. That view was gone, but that was a view before the Kingdom Hall was built. And then, during the construction of it, Rick had it on earlier. You could see through the frames. What do you call those? The studs, the steel studs that are up there. You could still see. And then what he's got up there now is after they've finished decking it, they like a few more bricks, but they got all the shingles on. Completely blocks his view. Completely, And then what she's done to get, and some of them probably heard this, if there may be some that didn't hear it 2 weeks ago, maybe wasn't able to be here, but she added on a sunroom so that it doesn't give him his whole view back, but he can go out his front door now, as you've got beautiful footage of it. I hope you'll let us have more of that footage, and maybe too, even that altercation, Tyler. I hope you'd consider maybe letting us see the complete thing without the Jehovah's Witness elders giving their talks, because we know they don't practice what they preach. We know that they're hypocrites. We know they're double tongued, and it would amplify so much how those thugs come out and how they ordered you around, to just get off and leave and started grappling. We could hear it. I'm so glad you had that other one on. But anyway, back to the thing with her. She's added this on, and it's cost her $45,000. I asked her. I said, "You don't mind me being personal? What did this cost?" So she's out $45,000. It was actually a fund that she had set up to buy these things to go up hanging from their ceiling, and it would be like a hoist. I don't know she told the technical name, but it let her be able to lift him out of bed. Now, of course, I guess she's doing that all, now by herself, but I could see she's probably, the time's going to come soon. She mentioned 2 weeks ago her age, so she won't mind me repeating it. She's 68 years old. So she's probably thinking, she wants to take care of him. I mean, that's such a loving couple. He must have been an awful good man, I think he was for her.
Oh, wait, yeah. I mean, wait till you see some of the clips of, I told Janet, I said, Janet, I may not be able to do this. And she said, why? I said, I didn't realize that this was going to be so hard on me. I said, I got 2 minutes into this video, and I said, and I started crying. I told her. I
did too. When I watched it.
I'm just so touched. I said, I'm that just goes to show you how important this view is to Jim, because we know that they're on a fixed income, and how important and how useful those rails and help, and everything else, helping him get out of bed. That just goes to show you how important this view actually is to Jim. And a lot of people may not understand this, but I saw it firsthand with my own grandfather. Once you start, I guess, losing certain senses, my grandfather has a rapidly progressing case of Parkinson's disease, and they ended up buying a home here in Rio Rancho, a second home, here in Rio Rancho, so they could be closer to the doctors. And their main home is up in Navajo Dam, where their nearest neighbor is a mile away. They live right alongside of the San Juan River, right down in the in the canyon. They got the beautiful mountain views all around them, and the river coming right down through the canyon. And he's real calm and relaxed when he's back home. But as soon as you get him into the city and put him into this little the house that they got in the neighborhood that's completely boxed in, and they feel, even my grandmother, they just get like this depression that comes over them. They're so cut off. I'm like, Grandma, what's wrong? He goes, well, we can't wait to get back. We can't wait to get back. We just feel so claustrophobic. I can't even tell if the sun is setting yet. But I really see it in my grandfather. With people with Parkinson's, they have real bad anxiety and everything. And it got so bad one time while they were down here. They had to be down here for an extended period of time to go to all these different doctor's appointments. and my grandpa ended up slipping into like a deep suicidal state of depression. We ended up having to check him into UNM as an inpatient on the psych ward, just because, you know, he was missing the view from back home, because it was so calming and soothing and relaxing, and it was the best therapy and best medicine for his handicap, for his Parkinson's. And see, and that just goes to show you how important this view is to Jim, by the fact that they're spending this money that they had saved up just to be able to extend their home out, 10 feet, maybe 12 feet, so they can come out from around the corner of the Jehovah Witness building, just so Jim will be able, when he's feeling that claustrophobic feeling, that real cut off feeling, that anxiety and depression starts, that he'll be able to go out front and escape and be able to see how great our God is. See, those Jehovah Witnesses do not realize what they took from this man. Anybody else listening to this call may be like, oh, you know, what's the big deal? You know, it's just a view. Yeah, but you're not in a wheelchair. You're not able to just get up and walk outside and go look at it anytime you want. You know, you're not. That's where he was able to connect with his Creator and to escape, what he, you know, for just however long it took him just to have his quiet time and his peace with God. And they stole that from him.
Yes,
you know,
I mean, the rest of us, we get busy and tied up, and we don't get to enjoy the beautiful things of nature like that because we're so busy. But can you imagine what our lives would be like if, you know, we had our full faculties, you know, like he does. He's, able to think, and everything, but he's not able to actually get up and walk out, you know, and not to be able to see that. Well, his whole life, that's what would be his enjoyment, is to be looking at that, you know, and to have that robbed from him. It upset me so much. But that, you know, that brings back that I'm hoping that, you know, many of the friends, or you know, maybe put a little note in there, or if they want to remain anonymous, they can. If they send her some money. The thing about having her address there is they're able to send this to her, and she's getting it 100%. I mean, 100% is going to, you know, to her. We're not, you know, we're also wanting to see and learn about setting up a GoFundMe or donation, a PayPal, something. We want to throw that out there, get some help on that. Done some research on it, but right now we thought this would be quick, was just to put her address and let people, you know, if they want to send a note and, you know, their thoughts, I'm sure she would love to hear that too. She's a wonderful woman, and she, you know, her and him both would love to hear from the listeners here. But the thing about setting up there's her address. It's Janet Mura, 1708 20th Avenue Southeast, for those that are listening in on the radio. Rio Rancho, New Mexico, zip code 87124. And I'll read that again. Janet Mura, Mura, 1708 20th Avenue Southeast, Rio Rancho, New Mexico, 87124. And see, the thing is, if we hope to get set up so that maybe you can put this on the end of your documentary, a GoFundMe button or page or site that people can click on to. But let me explain a little bit to the listeners, and I'm hoping somebody else out there can help educate us, not necessarily during the show. Maybe send me some information, or send you some, so that we can learn about how to set this up. But from what I understand, if we're going to set up a GoFundMe button, we need to have it tax exempt for two reasons. One, we want her not to have to hand over a third of it or half of it to Uncle Sam, because it should be exempt. It shouldn't be taxed. But the other reason is this PayPal people, or the GoFundMe people. I've checked into it, and they charge 5% of the funds that come in for just normal things. But now, if you have this tax-exempt status set up with the government, then I think it's a Form 501 or something like that. If that's set up, then they reduce the rate, the fee that they charge. They reduce it down from 5% down to 2.9. And so we want to get it where we can get as much of it going straight to Janet as possible. But it's something I've never done this. So if anybody out there is an attorney or a tax accountant or into this could help us, from what I've read on the IRS website this afternoon, it looks like there's actually three. You have to be one of these three things. You have to be a trust, you have to be a corporation, or you have to be an association. And so we want to do the most practical way that would be the least expensive, so that we can help funnel any donations directly to Jim and to Janet. So if anybody could, matter of fact, if there's anybody out there that is knowledgeable in this or expertise in this, we'd love for them to, press *1 and make a brief comment and let us know about it, so that we can learn it. Maybe all the attorneys are out to lunch right now. I don't know. Well, anyway, I've got the Facebook. I'll continue doing research on it. So don't you think that'd be a good idea, Tyler, to have that set up also, a GoFundMe button?
Hello?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I want to be able to do with this GoFundMe page, is do what the Jehovah Witnesses didn't do. I had heard that the Jehovah Witnesses will take special collections, or they'll do special fundraisers if they need to get something done. One of the lies that we're going to be discerning in this video is when I have this Kobe come to my house, he gives me the excuse that they didn't have enough money. It was going to cost an extra $25,000 to move this building 30 feet to the south. And one of the comments that I read from I don't know if they were an extra Jehovah Witness or not, but one of them was said, well, we take collections all the time. I don't know why they just didn't take up a special collection to try to raise that $25,000. And so I want to challenge everybody that's listening. Well, let's do what the Jehovah Witness should have done, what they could have done, and what they didn't do. Because I believe that the extra JW community is starting to rally up together and to rise up. And through this situation right here, we can show that we are strong, and that we can accomplish more than the Watchtower could ever dream of accomplishing in a lifetime. And I believe this is a situation where people can feel part of something and take part and be part of it, and show that we're a force, that you guys are a force to be reckoned with. You guys are awake now. You're able to enjoy life and be able to experience our Creator on a more intimate level, and not a routine spoon-fed level. And that's why we wanted to do this video from the very get-go. Because there's nothing we can do right, since now that the building's already there. Unless by an act of God, gets struck by lightning or some sinkhole or something.
Well, you never know.
Like
you never know. I mean, there may be enough money come in they could relocate Jim and Janet.
Right. That was one of the things that Janet told me in the very beginning. She expressed to me, she said, really, she says, we just want to move now, because it's been an ongoing thing. They said they would come over, and they knew Jim's situation. They would come over and help her, and if she needed help with the yard work and everything else. And all they've done is made it worse. They clean out their yard. They clean out the tumbleweeds and everything out of their yard. But they did it. They just put it right there, and then it all ends up in Janet's yard.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, she already has her hands full enough as it is. She doesn't need to be picking up and pulling their weeds. So ultimately, one of the things that she wanted to do was move. But this video has been taking way longer than it should have. You know what I mean? What we really wanted to do was, in the very beginning, was to have a film submitted to the Santa Fe Film Festival. And so I was lucky enough to be able to sit down with an actual, big time professional. Matter of fact, he has a movie that's coming out this summer. I mean, it's something about zombies or something. You know what I mean? But I was able to. Is it about Jehovah's Witnesses? Yes, it's zombies, right? So he did. He volunteered a few hours of his time to sit down with me and just kind of mentor me. And he told me right off the bat, he goes, "Look, I don't mean to crush your dreams or anything." He goes, this is a very noble cause, and yes, I see that it can be a very powerful story, but they're not going to let a guy with no experience right off the street submit a film to the Santa Fe Film Festival. Number one, they have to be nominated. It has to be selected to even get that far. So he said, this is what I would do. He said, I would go ahead and start like a Kickstarter or something, and see how that goes. And if that generates enough support and interest, he goes, then you can take it to the next level. He goes, because not everybody's going to be just as passionate as you are about this and do this for free. He said, the things that you're asking for and the animations and everything that you're asking for, he goes, those things run about $300 an hour, he told me. He goes, and nobody's going to just do that for free. He goes, money is what motivates people, not standing up for what they believe is right. Money is what makes the world go round. And so me and Daniel went back to the board and said, well, let's just shoot a promotional video, briefly describing what happened, and it will just be like a commercial for the GoFundMe page. Well, once all the video clips and everything started getting put into the editing software, next thing I know, the video is already up to 11 minutes, and it wasn't even supposed to go past 5. So, I mean, you guys are calling it a documentary, but I'm no film producer by a stretch of the mean, and I hope none of the listeners are let down when they see the video, because it's all just amateur editing. It's just all
when can the listeners see this video? When can you put it up there so we can all see it?
Right. I was hoping to have it finished finally by Sunday night.
Okay.
I've got the majority of it done, but don't say I shouldn't have said that. I am working hard.
Even if it's a week from Sunday, that's fine.
It probably will be, because the ultimate goal was it was to draw attention and funnel people towards a place where they can feel that they're part of something and that they're making a difference, and that was through the GoFundMe page. And it looks like we're starting to hit another little speed bump with the tax issues. Who knows? We may just have to commit and say, look, some money's better than no money. Let Uncle Sam get his share. We just want to help.
When you bring that up, that reminds me of something I forgot to mention. Is everyone, when they send, everyone that's wanting to send something in, be sure to write in the memo of your check as gift. That way it won't be. That way, if they get into an audit or anything, they won't be a taxed on them. So any of the friends out there, be sure, if it's a money order, whatever, be sure to put gift in there so that they'll be tax free for them. I know there's a limit. How it reaches a certain level, then it's not considered tax exempt. But
right. There's the gift tax. Even if your parents pass down a car to you, when you go and they write gift on the title, when you go and register at the DMV, you get taxed on the value of the the dollar value of the car. So the government wants their money. You know what I mean? So
right. Well, we not to put you on the spot, but I think a lot of people here would love to see not only that one that you've just made, the one that you showed me this morning, that 11 or 12 minutes, but also the cut out of where they come and attack you. We'd like to. I think they would like to see it without all the Jehovah's Witness elders giving their talks in the background, and to see what was actually said. I mean, you seemed embarrassed to me that you were upset. Well, that was righteous indignation the way they come out there. You should have been upset. I mean, you held your calm pretty good. A lot of people on Facebook are saying that Elder Tim would have had his teeth knocked out with that tripod. That's what a lot of people.
I think that stuff is considered like an extension of us. Daniel had possession of it, and I don't know if that stuff's considered an extension or not, but I kind of, when I saw what was going on, I don't see any different than if he would have had a hold of his arm. You know what I mean?
No.
And in the very beginning, that's what happened. When the video you hear you see Tim come out, he get out, you know what I mean? And the next thing you hear is just a bunch of rustling. Well, that's the external mic that we had.
Well, I've seen his hands on both the equipment and also on Daniel too. That's what I
right. And then next thing I know, I turn around and they're in a wrestling match over like a $3,000 camera,
Right.
And so I grabbed my camera right away and turned it. And as soon as he looked up and saw it, I mean, it was like a deer in the headlight. Whoops, you know what I mean? He
right.
Just
and
just
I understand.
Let go and.
I understand you and Daniel if y'all have hesitations, because I got, they're going to be coming out making charges against you, false charges, but they did me the same way. Here they told me, go back repeatedly and talk to this elder, go back repeatedly. Well, I did that, and that's what their organization book says, go back repeatedly. Guess what? When I got into suing them in court, they come back and made the charge against me that I was harassing them because I went back repeatedly. Well, I was just doing what they told me to do. So yeah, you can expect them to lie and bring charges against you, but so if you really, you guys have your own family, and we understand we understand that if you just don't have time for that, right. Janet doesn't have time. She's got her reasons, and you guys may have your reasons too. But if there's anything we can do to help out, let us know. We'd be glad to.
Right. Well, what we would really like to see is the active Jehovah Witnesses that are members of that particular congregation. I would like to see them actually come together and help and make donations to this GoFundMe page as well. Yeah. Because I believe once they actually see this little glimpse Jim and Janet have let us have in their lives, I guarantee you
if they will look at it.
At that moment, they're going to realize.
Let me tell you, about the Australian thing, Tyler. I heard you mention it, but let me tell you on my little vacation. My little vacation, I was out. I may have told you earlier, but I'll tell it for the audience. I was out, and I'm going to put up a YouTube video about it because I've got some pictures of it. I wish I was filming it. I wish I had a video on it, but I was talking on Hollywood Boulevard, just a few steps down from the famous Chinese theater. Where all the Walk of Fame, all the names and the sidewalk and everything is a cart. I was shocked. Here, Jehovah's Witness cart set up. So I got up and got my picture in front of it, and which that was their only business. Because all these other characters that costumes they charge you, don't ask for donations. Well, here you could go. There was other Jehovah's Witnesses on vacation. They're visiting, and of course they're taught don't ever give your money to anything except for the organization, so they never would give anything. Anyway, while I'm talking to this brother, I asked him, do you know about the Royal Commission hearings? He said, well, he heard a little bit about it. And I said, well, you really need to watch it, especially the governing body member, Jeffrey Jackson, and what he said. And you know what that brother told me? He says, no. He says, I have no intention of watching it. I never will. And I said, well, how come? He says, because I'm happy right now.
Yeah,
I'm happy right now.
That's so impossible. You cannot. It's impossible to be happy in this world now. Now you can be content, right? Yeah. We are content in Christ. We're content in His love. Cast all of your cares upon Him because He cares for you. But it's impossible to be happy in a world where you have a guy running for president that's spewing hate from the pulpit and that's reflecting on our country. When we've got Christians getting beheaded. In Syria, when we're getting how can you stand there and lie to me and look at me square in the face and tell me that you're happy?
Yeah. Well, here's what they're being trained, and it's a form of hypnotism, in my opinion. But I was hearing it just before. See, I was an active Jehovah's Witness when they first built this Kingdom Hall. I was even though I was active, I still didn't listen to the rules. I quit doing the shunning. I flew out and out there to meet Mike and Kim. We flew over, took some aerial pictures over Jim and Janet's home, and right. Here it upset me. But here's what they're being taught now. Before I left, I was hearing it: listen, obey, be blessed, and be happy. Listen, obey, and be blessed. They're just like they're told this over and over. Well, guess what else they teach them? They teach them don't pay any attention to what's on the news. Don't be watching the news about Jehovah's Witnesses. And so I hope some local Jehovah's Witnesses in Rio Rancho will look at your documentary, but knowing how they're being trained from the platform there, how they're being hypnotized, I bet a lot of them will say, oh, no, I'm happy now. I'm not going to look at anything like that. That's just apostate lies. That's just my venture. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. If nothing, what we need to do? Here's what we need to do. We need to get, this just thought come to me, we need to get down there and get with, I can help you with this too, with the electronics. We can set up a loudspeaker and a projector, and during their meeting, when they're arriving, we can project that up on their wall.
Right.
If not their wall, at least
Randy,
Jim and
you know why they say that they're happy? You know, it's because they've been because they don't have a heavenly hope. You know, so they've come to just settle. You know, and they've just settled and become happy with the fact that they have no hope to go to heaven to begin with, and this is as good as it's going to get. This is as best as it gets. Is here on this world.
Yeah,
and so that's why they're happy. I have heavenly hope, so I'm not happy here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be happy until I'm reunited with my Savior. You know, He told me, I've gone to prepare a place for you, and if it wasn't so, I wouldn't tell you. And I will come back for you. And that's my heavenly hope. That's why it's impossible for me to be completely, 100% completely happy while I'm here on this earth.
Sure.
Because I have a heavenly hope.
And the way we as humans
been stolen from them.
Yeah, the way humans are too is we always try to solve problems. You know, something comes up, we try to find a resolution. And for something like, you know, like we see something that they do against Jim and Janet here, it's a source of irritation against us, not just Jim and Janet, but look at what they do to all of our family members that they hold hostage. You know, they keep them from talking, and they have them shunning us, you know, and so a lot of people, you know, a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, are happy except with that one thing. They want to do what they can do to put Watchtower down, you know, to destroy Watchtower because Watchtower's holding their family hostage.
What's going on with them?
Okay, did you hear about the handicapped man that the Kingdom Hall next door to them, before the Kingdom Hall was built, the elders promised him and his wife in front of a real estate agent, in front of a building contractor, and in front of their daughter, the couple's daughter, that they would not block his view. He was hurt in a freak accident in swimming in the ocean, and Tyler's got there's wonderful documentary. Mike and Kim, if you can go watch them, they've done several documentaries about it. But so all Jim has to do, you know, is to sit and enjoy the view. He moved there to retire, and he's in a wheelchair, and he was very active before his accident. Well, he has the balloon festivals to look at. Well, guess what? The Kingdom Hall when was it built, Tyler? Just about a year and a half, 2 years ago now?
2012, I believe.
It hasn't been long ago. They built. I think they lived there for 2 years, and now it's probably been a year or two that the Kingdom Hall's been up. They built in front of his view completely and blocked his view.
Is that his house, the White House next to that? Is that the
White
Kingdom
House?
Hall?
Right.
Yes. Are you on the computer looking at it now?
Yeah.
Yes. And you see on the right-hand side on your computer screen, they could have moved, if they just moved the building 3 parking spaces, that his view would have been fine because they put it right there to block his view. They could have put those 3 parking spaces on the left side of that Kingdom Hall.
Well, yeah. Oh.
And then they caught him in lies, and then Tyler, they assaulted Tyler.
In the video, we're going to break down the lies. See, I was just by a stroke of luck, you know. It was just a reaffirmation from God that, you know, this was the right, just to continue working to try to get this done. Because when I heard the door someone knocking at the door that day and opened it up and saw that it was the Kobe, I knew God had His hand in this whole little project. You know, because I was able to sit him down and present him with the aerial photograph and watch his expression and to hear his explanations. And he fed me lie after lie after lie. And the thing is, in the video, we break down and decipher every single lie that he tells us. You know, he started with the city made us put it there. You know, well, so we called the city to find out. You know, we wanted to know. We wanted to know. You know, and the city said no. We tell people where they can't put the buildings. So it ended up being that the building was going to be even more obstructing. It was going to completely occlude their house. But the city said, no, you've got it too close to the easement. And the city, I've got the call recorded that they told us that we don't tell people where to put their buildings. We tell people where they can't put their buildings. So it was at that point, they had to go and redraw the blueprints of this piece of property. And at that moment, they had the perfect opportunity to move it that extra 30 feet or where they got that tough shed or anywhere else on that 1.5 acre lot to put the building. But no, they decided to move it just outside the legal requirements, just to the outside of that easement. And so then he told me that it was going to cost him $25,000 to move it that extra 30 feet to free up the window. Well, we broke that down, and so we got a professional contractor, and we asked him. I said, because he started Jacoby started telling me that it was going to cost a bunch of money for the fire suppression, the water lines, and this and that. Well, the guy, I sat down with the building contractor, and I've got this on tape. It's in the movie. You're going to see it, and he breaks it down. He said this would have cost no more than $3,000 to $5,000 at the most. And that would have been an easy collection the church could have taken up.
No,
to do
and
that.
that's including labor, Tyler. This church has free labor, so it would have
right.
been a
Yeah, that's
fraction
free
of that.
labor. Right, that's free labor. Oh, and then he goes on to even tell me, well, we even went to the neighbors and asked them for to help with the money or to help split the cost or to help pay for the cost to move to pay for the extra material or whatever it was going to cost to move the building. And I've got him on tape saying this. So there's two sides to every story. So I took it to Janet and I said, hey, we watched this and listened to what this guy had to say. And when she heard him say that he came over and asked them for the money to pay for it, she about fell out of her chair. She said, I'm the one that went over there and told them that I would help pay for the cost to move the building. And they shunned me. They wouldn't even give me the time of the day. She said, I went over there and they just gave me the cold shoulder. Nobody wanted to hear what I had to say. And they made it very clear that I wasn't welcome there. And I was just blown away that he boldly telling me to my face that he even asked them for the money to pay to preserve their view. Give us the money to save your view. We understand that you built your house here first. We understood that we knew what we had to work around. We saw your building there. We knew what we could, what we had to work around. But no, I'm sorry. I get so worked up over this one, and this is why I get worked up. And you guys are going to see this in just the first 2 minutes of this film.
Oh, I can't. I've already got to see it. I got to see it, and it's amazing.
Jehovah Witnesses go door to door proclaiming, love thy neighbor and be examples, and they think that they're the best example, that they truly show neighborly, do what the Bible says, and that they show to love thy neighbor, and they love their neighbors, and they help the community, help their brothers and sisters. They have no idea what love is once you see the love that Jim and Janet possess for each other.
That's right.
That is love.
And I think what they were doing was trying to bring their property value down, thinking they could come in and buy up their house for nothing, maybe get it for an apartment,
right?
Circuit overseas.
Right. We investigated that a little bit too. We started looking into a bunch of other claims where similar situations had happened to other people around the world. I thought this was just kind of a unique thing. Come to find out, I've got a dozen papers that I printed up off the internet with cases similar to this. And one thing that they all had in common was once the Kingdom Hall was gone and built there, it would be built in such a manner and such a way that it would in some way or another devalue the adjacent lot or the adjoining lot, and then they would come in behind it and buy it up. Once the property was devalued, they would come in and scoop it up. So that led down into a deeper rabbit hole into real estate techniques. And then I found out that they have the Marriott hotels, and all this is just a big old monopoly game. Snag up as much property as you can. But see, the people that are going to these kingdom halls have settled for a form of godliness, have settled for a form of religion that they're completely oblivious to the underlying motivation behind the Watchtower and Bible Tract Society. I honestly believe that they can care less about the salvation of the people that are walking into their buildings. Those buildings are just place markers to steal property and real estate from people. It will not surprise me one bit if a couple years down the road that they come in and make Janet an offer on her home. And if that's the case, I want it to be a pre-assessed offer, an assessed property value before the Kingdom Hall was built, and that's the offer that they need to make Jim and Janet. But no, the Kobe and the elders, they're oblivious. They have no clue. They have settled for a form of godliness I don't know. It just blows my mind. What do you got to say, Randy?
Yeah, not to sound quoting scriptures or anything, but that one verse, it says a form of godly devotion, but proving false to its power. And it probably reads different than King James, but that's exactly, here they're pretending to be this love and everything and godly people, but they treated Jim so bad, And I can't wait. I can't wait for because here, I want to say this about your video. I hope I don't let too much of the cat out of the bag, but it's not, the video's not just about what the Jehovah's Witnesses there did to them, but it's a lot about Jim and Janet's life before the accident and about the accident.
It's so they can see the people that they hurt, because they had no regard for their lives. They were outsiders. They were part of the world. So they had no regard or no care, no pity, no sympathy, no nothing for them.
Well,
maybe it would have been a different story if they were actually members of the denomination. I'll just notice that Jehovah's Witnesses, they're unique in a lot of ways, but just in organized religion in general, they all pretty much follow the same, the shunning,
Yeah, they do.
To old members, this way or the highway kind of mentality. That's same thing with, with any major organized religion. I think organized religion is one of the most dangerous things for a true believer to get involved in.
Yeah, and what makes them the worst than other organized religions is if you're a Baptist and they disfellowship you can still walk across the street to another Baptist church and be.
Yeah, but this spreads like wildfire.
In Jehovah's Witnesses, they keep a file on you just like the credit bureaus do. So you can't go anywhere in the world to another congregation without having to have that referral letter of introduction sent. And then half the time they even gossip. They do more than just the letters. The secretary will call and talk to the other secretary and give their personal conflicts with the individual. So, it's not like my lawyer. They said, well, why can't you just go over here to Midland? I said, you don't understand. You can't. Once they start doing this to you, it's like you say, it spreads like wildfire. It's everywhere.
I'm going to say goodbye. My kids came out. My wife came out.
Okay, thank you so much, Tyler.
We got to run. We're getting ready to take off.
Let me say this real quick.
Before I get off, so I had one last thing to say.
Yeah, go right ahead.
You've been talking a lot about Jim during this hour, but I just want you guys to remember, behind every great man is even a better woman. And wait till you see the dedication and the love that Janet expressed and has held through all these years of marriage with Jim, and the example that she has set to me, to Kate. One thing that I wanted to say, I'm very grateful that I met them, because it's really inspired me to become a better father and to love my wife with an unconditional, passionate love. And I just wanted to say thank you guys for having me on. I just wanted to give a quick shout out and to Mike and Kim, that I admire your guys' vigilance. And if it wasn't for you guys being on top of things and being so vigilant, I wouldn't have been blessed by this whole experience, getting to know you guys and being able to be part of Jim and Janet's life, which has been the ultimate blessing out of this whole experience. And that's what I'm hoping to share with all you guys once this video gets up and going. I really want to release it at the same time that the GoFundMe page is up and running, so everybody can feel like they're part of something, and they contributed something that was greater than themselves.
Point, Debbie. I think we even mentioned that already to Janet, and something I remember 2 weeks ago. She's got attorneys. She's got friends who are attorneys, so we're going to keep her in control of it. And we've kind of kind of told her that already. I think Tyler's already mentioned that to her, didn't you,
Right.
Tyler?
I think he was kind of hinting at that. Be careful because it may take away from some of her benefits. And then we're going to do whatever we can. If we have to put it into their daughter's name, her daughter is on board with this whole thing, has been supporting this project all the way through. We're going to figure out what we can do because, I can't, after finding out what happened, I just can't go to sleep at night knowing that I did nothing.
Right.
You know, and I'm not going to give up until we're able to at least do something.
Well, let me say this too. Please tell Daniel that we would love to meet him and listen and hear what he's got to say too, because Daniel. So let Daniel know that when you see him again.
I will. I'll tell him, and maybe we can set something up for another time if you guys would be kind enough to have it on again. We can give an update on what's going on.
You're not reading this on the screen. There's all kinds of comments. Thank you, Tyler. Tyler, you're a good soul, Lucy wrote. You know, I mean, there's tons and tons of people up there thanking you. And some
bless you guys. I appreciate your kind words, you guys. And we will, all of us together, will show the Jehovah Witnesses that we can do what they couldn't do, and we are going to do what they didn't do. We're the ones that are going to rise up.
Right. Well, I think.
All right,
I think
you guys.
we're
Love you guys.
Love you too, Tyler. And I think we're going to get Rick come on with the next program. Are you there, Rick?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for Tyler. Tyler, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate your presence. Don't you be a stranger, Tyler. You have a good weekend.
Hoping to be on again sometime. Thanks, you guys. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. All right. Well, that's Tyler. We got Randy. My goodness, that's Randy on the video suite.